I am resident of Colwood for YouTube Jewel Saints. My guest Denise is, or sorry, Chloe
Chloe.
Thomas. Chloe Thomas is so sorry. Chloe Thomas is here, and we're here to talk House of Dark Shadows, the movie, which was being filmed while the series was still going on. So that's where my first question starts with you. What did you think of that?
Um, Now, if I'm correct, wasn't isn't that when they did the parallel time, the takeoff on Rebecca, where Angelique was the twin sisters and she was married to Quentin? She came back from the dead, right? That's when that
Yes,
filming was going on.
yes.
Um, Actually, this is what I think. I think it gave Laura Parker not necessarily a meteor role, but a different role to showcase her talents. Playing, the sweet sister, and then of course the evil sister who comes back from the dead.
Yeah.
And I am a huge fan of Daphne du Maurier's Rebecca, so I really enjoyed it. But I will say I did miss Barnabas.
Yeah, he just Jonathan Fritz Barnabas. He doesn't exactly disappear. He goes into the chain coffin because William Holland's Head Loomis chains him up
Right,
there.
right. But I still
Um,
missed him.
right. It feels like he disappears.
Yes, yes,
You know, but it's a really interesting storyline for the series.
yes.
House does a really good job of separating itself from the series. What do you think?
Oh, I think it is. While the story, this is it. They rehashed the storyline from the beginning of the series, obviously, but
Right.
um, and I can only assume, since it's this almost the same script, that it was Dan Curtis's direction that gave the film a different um, vibe, um, different performances from the characters.
Yeah.
Um, it was darker, it was more vicious, um, certainly bloodier, um, and in some cases, almost incestuous and pornographic. I mean, I will never forget. And, I had just watched it in the month of October because they had it on for Halloween movies. They
Yeah.
had it on three times on the movie channel, so I think I watched it twice. And well, I love to watch Jonathan. I just do. Oh, gorgeous. But anyway, but the part where Carolyn comes in to Josette's room and tells him, no, you can't go after Maggie. I love you, and and they're cousins, which is ugh.
Right.
And and then he throws her on the ground, and it looks like they're almost fornicating, and 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 like animals. And I thought, oh, ugh. And the amount of blood that was in the movie,
Yeah.
and I thought the movie was very fast paced, and the scenes were choppy. They'd be done with one scene and they'd go real quickly on to another, rather than just melding into one another, if you know what I mean.
Right. I think with this movie, they do a lot of good quick pacing because
Yeah.
with a movie, I think that's one of the biggest differences between any series and a movie that's based upon a series. That
Hmm.
you're not giving a lot of time for certain things to develop with the like. There's only so much suspense build up, and then there's the release.
Right.
With a series, you can have episode after episode, and Dark Shadows did that very well for the series. I think a big sort of telltale sign of how different things are really going to be. And I want to ask you, what did you think when you first watched this movie? When you first watched it for the first time, and you heard no voiceover intro?
Um, it didn't matter. I think I was maybe a, I like even can't tell you how old I was when I first saw it, but
Right.
I don't think it affected me one way or the other. I just was excited to see Barnabas on the big screen. I remember that. That was huge for me. Oh, he's going to be on the big screen. I was very
Yeah.
excited about that. But by the end of the movie, I was and I was a kid when I first saw it. But by the end of the movie, I was disappointed and couldn't wait to get back to my Barnabas and not this
Right.
Barnabas.
Yeah, because this is a different version of Barnabas.
It is.
Uh,
Although I will say, and he always delivered a brilliant performance, no matter what he did. You could see he was trying to infuse the vulnerability and the empathy um, of the character, like he did in the series, but not
yeah,
to the same degree or intensity.
yeah, yeah. Jonathan does sort of, in a lot of way, try to sympathize the character by talking about Josette.
Hmm.
He said, and he says the words, "When they put this curse on me."
Yeah, yeah.
So there's no when Angelique or when she put this curse on me.
Hmm.
What did so? I always ask this of everybody I've done this with. So I'm asking you now, who do you think put the curse on Barnabas in the movie?
I actually think it. I still think it was Angelique,
Really?
um, but I think that the second movie was supposed to be. In fact, I read this. The second movie was supposed to be the Vampire Curse, and
Oh,
where Laura Parker was going to, play Angelique, and they were going to rehash that part of the series on the big screen. But as we
yes.
know, Jonathan refused to do it because he did not feel comfortable with the way the first movie was. He did not like the first movie, and he did not want to be typecast as a vampire. And
Yeah.
I'm so sad that happened because I would have loved to see the both of them on the big screen.
He, well, he set a price tag that he knew would be too high for them to pay.
Correct.
And
Right.
so,
Yes, he did. Just like Elizabeth Taylor did for when she played Cleopatra, but
yeah,
they paid her.
yeah, they had the budget for that, right?
Yes, yes.
Right. Oh my god. When I first watched the movie House of Dark Shadows, it was right after I finished watching all 1,125 episodes as a teenager.
Hmm.
And I made the mistake of, this might have a voiceover intro, and I turned it up really loud because
Hmm.
I always did with the intro because sometimes they talk a little low.
Hmm.
And the music hits and about blew me away, and I
Hmm.
had to turn it down.
Hmm.
But so there are a lot of characters, a lot of actors and actresses from the series. We have Joan
Yep.
Bennett,
Yep.
we have Louis Edmonds, David Hennessy is here. They're
Hmm.
playing. Would you say they're playing the characters by name only?
What do you mean? Like they're not playing differently from the series?
Right. Like for example, like yes, Joan Bennett is playing Elizabeth.
Absolutely. I mean that's it.
Okay.
For
Yeah.
me. Louis Edmonds too,
Yeah.
until at towards the end he was bitten and he becomes a vampire.
Yeah.
Um, but I love Louis Edmonds. He was just great. And then same thing with Thayer David. He's turns out to be a vampire.
Yeah.
Um, of course, Maggie is playing Maggie. David Hennessy, I told you before, little brat, but that kid could act. And I'm very sorry, and I did not know until I started with the Facebook and the Dark Shadows pages and all that. I did not know about the cut out hanging scene. I actually have a photo of it. I kind of wish that was included in the movie.
I've
Um,
I've seen it. Yeah.
yeah, now, am I correct in assuming that the kid was playing a prank or somebody actually hung him?
No, 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 no. It was supposedly a prank David was supposed to play on Catherine Lee Scott's character.
Right.
Because she walks into his room and she's looking for her. And
Yes.
I think they just cut it out. They just didn't want the scene. Maybe they thought it was too much. But I also think too, it's like, okay, how do you explain the prank?
Yes.
like,
Right. Right.
like, I think it's a fun photo, like
Yeah.
especially for David. Like, yeah, like it's. I've seen the photo. It's a great photo, by the way, and
Hmm.
I'll share an image of it too on Facebook for everybody too. But it is. It's a fun photo because he's just headed there, and it's
Yes.
just like he's in a closet.
Right. It's like he's a no pest fly strip, just
Yeah,
hanging there. and, and he, he was always good in the
yeah,
series, in the movie. He was a good actor. He really was. Um, but who else was there? I was in the movie. I was sad that Humbert only had a bit part as the physician because he's excellent. I wish he had
yeah,
had a bigger part. Don Briscoe had a larger part, and of course Roger Davis. He had a
yeah,
large part. Yeah,
yeah. He
yeah,
was the hero of the movie, if you will.
yeah. Well, if you
With
say
with
so.
an assist, with an assist. Well, we gotta give Willie Loomis a lot of love here at the end,
Oh,
but
oh, oh! I always forget about him, and I love John Carlin. John
yeah,
Carlin was excellent. Oh, and it disturbed me how vicious Barnabas was when he beat him, because you actually saw the beating in the
yeah,
movie, where in the series you did not.
yeah. I was telling a friend of mine that too. That in the series you only see the makeup on John Carlin's face where he got beat up,
Right.
but in the series Barnabas hands like beats him like a dog.
Yep. And in the series, Barnabas, lifts his cane to hit him and all that, but
Yeah,
not like the movie. It, like I said, it was vicious, and it was a much crueler Barnabas. But in the series, when Jonathan first came on, and the stuff with Maggie where he abducted her and all that, I mean, he was quite cruel. And even with Julia too, he was very cruel and sinister. But the
yeah,
movie took it to a whole different level.
yeah. The movie. I've talked about this to my buddy John Philip Betancourt because he's never seen the movie.
Hmm.
I said, you know how when Barnabas has Carolyn working for him and all that stuff, he's like, yeah.
Hmm.
I said, well, in the series, everything's turned. It's like Dark Shadows on steroids. It's
Hmm.
everything's turned
Yeah.
up to a 10.
Right.
So, oh, what did you think of the? We know Willie Loomis gets the blood drained out of him a bit for Barnabas to come out of the coffin, but
Yeah.
the first attack, the first official attack is this woman comes out the house and she's walking down the long driveway of the Lyndhurst
Sabrina.
estate.
Right.
Yes,
Was her name?
right.
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, I think so. And she's hearing these strange sounds and she
Right.
looking around and she gets real scared and panicked and she just bolts for the door, bolts for
Mm-hmm.
the car, sorry.
Hmm.
And, well, she makes it, but there's a hand that opens the door and chokes her and she gets bit.
Hmm.
Um, really, really interesting. What did you think of that?
I thought it was good the way it was filmed. I thought it was, I the way I remember it, and like I said, I just saw it. Wasn't he in the? I mean, you never saw him, but you know who it was.
Yeah.
Wasn't he in the car? Or no? Am I wrong?
He opens the door
Okay.
and he chokes her. He
Uh
opens
huh.
the other side of the other door. I think it's the passenger door if I'm remembering correctly. And he's choking the life out of her.
Yeah, he's good at that choking. He
Yeah.
likes to um, no, but I thought it was good. I thought it was spooky and scary, and especially as a kid, because when I saw it again as an adult, I remembered that, and I thought, well, and you knew it was Barnabas; it wasn't anybody else. But I did like the way they filmed that because it was very spooky. It kind of reminded me of the Halloween movie with Jamie Curtis, where, you know, um, what's I get Jason and Michael Myers.
Michael.
Michael Myers is in the garage when that girl is in the car and he chokes her and
Yeah.
then the horns blasting. It reminded me of that a lot. I thought it was very well done.
Yeah, and this is years before Halloween.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, yeah. Annie Brackett gets killed in the back. In the she's in the front, Michael's in the back, and
Yep.
he pops
Oh
up and
man, you
says,
know her name. Yo, okay, all right.
I'm a huge I my two favorite franchises, Dark Shadows and Halloween. So I
Halloween, the first movie was the best though, out of all of them.
it was. It's the immortal classic. It's
Yep.
time.
Mm-hmm.
It's never gonna age.
Nope.
No matter how far we get.
Yep.
Um, but back to House of Dark Shadows. Uh, so she's attacked.
Mm-hmm.
Carolyn, once Barnabas arrives, I love how they shoot the Lyndhurst estate when Barnabas is walking toward it. What do you think?
And this is my question. I always try to, well, not always, but the two times I saw it, is that actually Jonathan Frid that they're shooting from behind? I wasn't sure because I couldn't be sure. Or was that just somebody else? But was it
I
him?
I think it was Jonathan. I'll
Okay.
say, but I again, if anybody wants to hold me to that or correct me, please let me know. But to me, I think that was all Jonathan
Okay.
because they're shooting this scene. He's walking, and it goes right up to the door, and he rings
Mm-hmm.
the doorbell. There's no knock.
Right.
My question to you is, before we get inside the house,
Uh-huh.
what did you? Again, we know the original Collinwood is the Seaview Terrace, aka the Carey Mansion for the series.
Mm-hmm.
This is the Lyndhurst estate. What did you think of the Lyndhurst estate being Collinwood here?
Oh, I thought it was beautiful. I thought it was beautiful. I think the Seaview Terrace mansion is beautiful as well, but
Yes.
we didn't get to see the real inside of Seaview Terrace. We saw the sets, but
Yeah.
in Lyndhurst, they actually went in the actual mansion and filmed in there. I thought it was beautiful. It was elegant. It was, the gilded mansions of the Golden Age, just gorgeous. Um, and um, I love when he first comes in and they don't really show him, similar like they did in the series, until I think until Roger comes down and then you see him.
Yeah.
Um, am I right? I'm trying to remember.
Yeah, with the series, they do this over the shoulder tactic of
Yeah.
shooting him from behind, and you see
Uh-huh.
Mrs. Johnson's face, which looked like she saw a ghost.
Yeah.
And we
That's the
sort of get that
portrait.
right, and we get that explanation because of the portrait. He looks exactly like the portrait.
Uh-huh.
With the movie, first person was the best way to go to do this, and they did a hell of a job shooting that in first person,
Mm-hmm.
and him putting his finger on an organ or piano,
On
whatever
the
it is.
piano, yes, yes, and you saw that black ring, and you
Yeah,
saw with the cane. Yes, it was. I
yeah,
really liked that.
and you see Roger sort of through Jonathan's viewpoint, which I
Uh-huh.
love.
Mm-hmm.
Like him walking around.
You let the light on in here.
Oh, excuse me. Yeah, sorry about that.
That's all right.
um, yeah, it's really interesting how you get that viewpoint of Jonathan looking at Roger, and Roger's
Mhm.
honest. I wouldn't believe if I didn't see it.
Right, right. Yep.
Really, really good. And then the introduction made. Then you see Jonathan standing by the portrait.
Right. With that box of jewels. Oh my God, that necklace was fabulous.
Okay, coffee.
Go ahead.
You want coffee?
No, I don't want a coffee.
Oh, yeah.
Thank
You
you.
can't drink it. You can't.
I'm sorry. No,
That's okay.
Like, this kind of coffee creamer?
no, it's fine. It's fine. Sorry, my son's talking to me. Sorry.
Well, if you want one.
No, I don't want one. Thank you. Anyway, no, but yeah, you were mentioning the jewels. Yeah, it's Naomi's necklace, and he gifts it to Elizabeth,
I
and
know.
that's something we never really saw in this series. What do you think here of this?
Well, we did see that Barnabas had the jewels because
Yes.
the old house with them. Um, um, but And he did go into the box when he was sitting in the old house, but those were filmed in black and white, so you didn't get to see the beauty of the jewels. Here we are in color, and it's this amazing emerald and diamond, like Elizabeth Taylor worthy necklace. And he just hands it over to her. And I'm like, oh my God. And then when she wears it to that costume ball, it was just stunning. I thought the movie was very colorful. It was very it was filmed very lavishly. Of course, the setting was beautiful. You have this gorgeous mansion. Um, not the little two-story studio over what was on 53rd Street, 63rd. I can't remember, in New York. But I thought that it was done just beautifully. The setting, the costumes. They obviously spent more money on the movie than they did on the series.
Yeah.
But no, I thought it was beautiful. And then that ball that they had, of course, the costume ball. And everybody had these gorgeous, gorgeous gowns and you know, otherworld finery on. I thought it was just beautiful.
Yeah.
Especially Carolyn's dress. But then he had to go bite the crap out of her, and he ruins the dress and she dies. That was the scene. That was the scene, though, when
Yeah.
she comes in and Willie walks her halfway to the door, and she stumbles in, and then the way she's there, like her knees are like to the side, and she's dead. I mean,
Yeah.
poor Nancy. She didn't get much of a part, but then she does come back as the vampire, and she was
Yeah.
very good as the vampire.
I love what they do here with the camera work because just like they made you feel like you were Barnabas for a moment,
Mm-hmm.
they're making you feel like you're the victim.
Right.
With Barnabas, his mouth open, the fangs coming at you. It's
Mm-hmm.
almost like you're Carolyn for that brief moment. It's
Right.
like
Right.
really smart cinematography, like making you. If you didn't feel helpless as an audience member, you just did, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Really,
Yeah.
really good.
Did I have a question now? I've always noticed this whenever I watch the film, and I don't know if it's me, but does Jonathan look heavier in the film than he did in the series? Because he always does to me.
I don't. Give it one
And
second.
I don't know why, because when he comes back on to the series after filming, he looks the same as he did in the series.
I think it's more the camera than anything else.
Oh, okay.
It could be. Again, I don't think he put on any real weight to.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. But he always looks heavier to me in the movie. And I was saying, well, why is that?
Yeah, I think it's just the way he's being shot because, again, he's not being shot with a television camera. It's a Hollywood production, And again,
but nobody else looked different to me. That's that, and I thought about that as well. Nobody else, everybody else looked the same to me. I just wondered.
I don't think he did anything weight wise. Maybe he might have to sort of look a little different. Because again, from a look standpoint, like other than like maybe a brief little change here or there of weight or whatever, from a costume standpoint, he looks the same.
Yes.
Like the character looks. So he may have deliberately, I don't know. I don't know if he did put on weight or not. He may have to look a little different because he knew what he wasn't playing and what he was.
Right.
So he may have. I don't know that answer. You know what I mean? Specifically. I will say that after they film that scene, you're right. She comes down when she's at the party. She's wearing something over her neck.
Yeah, like a chiffon scarf that matches the gown.
And Don Briscoe's character is like, "What's wrong with you tonight?"
Right.
Yeah.
I'm in love with my cousin. I'm like,
yeah. See, like I'm sure you've heard the story of Jesse James, like the outlaw, and like how he married his first cousin. So it's like, you see this, it's like, really, you're for your cousin? Okay, like he bit you.
I know, I know. Well,
Mhm.
if I had a cousin that looked like Jonathan, I might be that way too.
Yeah,
I have
yeah.
to tell you.
No, here's the thing. My wife, who when she first watched Dark Shadows, when she saw Jonathan Frid for the first time, she goes, "He's hot.
Yes,
I'd
he
do him."
is.
Like
Yeah,
she goes, "I would do him."
yes. He,
I'm just looking over at her like, "What?"
he the man
Yeah,
had enormous charisma and
yeah,
magnetism and sex appeal, and I don't
yeah.
think he was even aware of it.
He did. He really. You're right. He had amazing chemistry and sex appeal. He did.
Yeah,
He
in
really did.
spades.
Yeah. He's that handsome. Though he
Not
has
not traditionally handsome.
right, but he is handsome.
Oh, yes.
You
Yeah.
know.
Oh, yes.
Uh, what did you what uh, what did you think of Carolyn's funeral?
Oh, it was very somber, and I thought it was hilarious. They had Jerry Lacey, who's usually the corrupt priest, being
Yeah,
a normal priest, and then you see Michael Stroka. He only got that a pallbearer part,
yeah,
and that's too bad because Michael Stroka was actually a very good actor.
yeah,
Um, it I thought it was sad, and then when they're inside and they're at the dinner table, and then here comes David running in. Carolyn's alive. Carolyn's alive.
yeah,
And then Stokes calls him over. Come here. After you know, um, Roger says, "Stop that! Stop that now!"
yeah,
Yeah, but I
yeah.
thought that was very good. Um, the funeral was okay. It was a funeral, but when you see him playing with the ball in the empty swimming pool part, and
Yeah,
he sees her, I thought that was really good in him running in, and then of course nobody believes him except Stokes.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yes, Stokes goes to Julia Hoffman, who's like trying to determine what's going on with the blood samples and stuff,
right.
because she hasn't figured out Barnabas is the vampire yet in that movie,
Right.
and
She's like,
he
and she's the
yeah,
medical examiner. Yeah.
yeah, he goes, what do you know about vampirism? She's like, not much other than what I've heard in the stories and like the legend of it. He goes,
Uh-huh.
this is no legend. I'm not talking about legend.
Hmm.
And she goes, you're serious? And he's like, yeah. He goes, the proof will be forthcoming tonight with
Hmm.
Carol. And that line there, and then the dinner scene. I mean, that's a beautiful setup for that scene.
Yes.
And David, like you said, he's tossing the ball, and it's daytime when he's tossing the ball.
Yeah.
He lets it go, and then he can't. It goes into the pool. He bends down,
And he
he
falls. Yeah.
and hits his head on a rock, knocks him unconscious. I think from a plot device standpoint, that was brilliant.
Yeah. Because the vampire will then rise when it gets dark, and he'll wake
Yeah,
up, then you'll find him.
yeah, and that echo of Nancy Barrett's voice
Yeah.
was amazing. Like
Hmm.
it gave me every time I watch House, and I watched it today again.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I watched
Oh,
it early this morning.
oh
Or
my goodness.
I have it on DVD, so
Oh, okay.
I have all three movies on DVD.
Three.
So
What's the third one? Oh, yo. Okay, I know what the third one is.
yeah, 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 yeah,
Yeah, I've seen that one too.
yeah, yeah.
We
We
should talk
all
about
have.
that one sometime
We should.
because that would be fun to talk about that one.
It would be. It would be. Love the set designs in the third movie.
Very beautiful.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
yes,
Gorgeous.
yeah. I agree. I agree.
Hmm.
With this movie though,
Yeah.
yeah, House of Dark Shadows. You're right about John Carlin too. Very, very great performance he gives as Willie Loomis here,
Hmm.
and like you said, he takes a hell of a beating. Um, but also too, we were talking about David David Collins, David Hennessy's character.
Hmm.
I think the fact that Stokes listens to his story, Roger just looks at him like, what's wrong with you? We just
Right.
lost somebody.
Right.
I think that natural. I get why Dan Curtis wanted the cast from the series because he wanted. I think he wanted the chemistry that they were
Oh
bringing,
yeah. It would
and the
be
fact,
ridiculous to put other people in those roles.
yep, and it's sort of the same thing of taking them into the past.
Hmm.
It's like, hey, they know the roles, they know they're great actors, and
Hmm.
it, the Dark Shadows actors, it's criminal after the series like went off there. They never got Hollywood calling too much. Like big, like I felt they should have all been stars. And
Well,
one, like,
Joan Beth had been a star,
yeah, Joan had prior
um,
to DS.
but um, Louis Edmonds. I mean, he was on All My Children as Langley
Yeah,
Wallingford, and he was very good. And he was a theater guy too. So um, David Selby, he had moderate success. He was in several nighttime soap operas.
yeah, he
Uh,
was in some movies too.
yes, yeah, he was in one of Barbara Streisand's movies, Up the Sandbox.
Yeah,
Um, and I like David Selby, but I don't think he was the most talented actor on that show. Um, I was more surprised that Nancy Barrett didn't have a bigger career. She was excellent. Um, and of course, Laura Parker. I mean, she was on a lot of nighttime TV shows, but with her beauty, and she was a good actress. I just don't understand how she didn't have more of a film presence, because I mean, she is one of the most beautiful women I have ever seen.
yeah,
Um, Now, Jonathan, that's the real, for me, that's the real crime, because I think that man could have won an Oscar, but at the same time, that wasn't his desire. He
no,
liked theater and he did what he wanted to do. And speaking selfishly, I wish he had done more film and television just so I could watch him, because he's a brilliant actor. I mean, I've said this on my pages and everything. He's better than Olivier ever could ever hope to be. And I will stand by that 100%.
yeah, he was a really talented actor who,
Extremely.
yeah, but he loved the stage,
Yeah.
very much so,
Yep.
more so than the silver screen or being on
Right.
television.
Correct.
I mean, here's a guy who almost, became a college professor. Oh,
Yeah. I would have signed up for every class.
right, right. He's that handsome. I mean,
He's just that interesting and
yeah,
compelling.
yeah,
Yep.
he is absolutely. I mean, it, it's what I think too. Another thing that drives DS too. It's like Barnabas, not just the character, but the man behind Barnabas is
Hmm.
so interesting.
He
Uh,
is. He was.
and that's the thing. I think that's another thing that keeps people coming back to DS, along with the great acting and
Hmm.
cinematography and writing. I've always said it. DS is timeless, and it really is
Yes,
in,
it
in
is.
every way.
And
With this,
John Carlin too. He
yeah,
was successful in Cagney and Lacey. He's a
yeah,
good actor as well. Yeah, I forgot. I always forget about him. I don't want to, because I think he's very, very good.
yeah, he's immensely talented.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, there are a lot of Dark Shadows actors here in this movie. So we actually see the guy who plays King Johnny Romano in a small cameo here when he tells was it Maggie's boyfriend that, hey, the professor's waiting for you.
Uh-huh.
So we see him here too.
Uh-huh.
Um,
I like that guy. He
yeah,
was I liked him. He wasn't on very much on the show. I mean, he was a
yeah,
little bit, but I really liked him. He was a good guy, a good character.
yeah. Dan Curtis, the casting for they did a good job of getting people from the series
Uh-huh.
and
Uh-huh.
to give. I mean, we could call it fan service, but it's enjoyable fan service.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know? What's some of your favorite scenes from this movie?
From the movie,
Yeah.
well, when Barnabas first comes into the house and with that necklace, because that necklace is gorgeous and so is he.
Mm.
Um, I like, I'm trying to think of all the parts. I like when he and Maggie are walking outside. Um, he looks so, I don't know, just so refined and distinguished. And in those scenes, he looks normal to me. I mean, it's like he did on the series. I like that. I like the part where in the old house, Julia is sitting in a chair and he comes in and, he tells her about the music box and she thinks it's going to be for her, and why she thinks that I don't know. But
Yeah.
and then the next time you see them in the parlor of the old house, he realizes that she has feelings for him, and and he's so kind to her. Oh, I'm so sorry, I had no idea. But you
Yeah.
can see her wheels turning and what she's plotting,
Yeah.
because she's mad. uh, and what other scene do I like? I do like, as much as I thought it was kind of pornographic and kind of like incestuous, I do like the scene where he attacks Carolyn, because I don't know, I thought it was really good, but I also thought it was kind of, oh, I'm torn between it. And I do like towards the end, and it always reminded me of this, the very Phantom of the Opera-esque
Yeah.
wedding. And
Yes.
I every time I see that, I think he could have been Phantom of the Opera on Broadway. Why not? I mean, serious.
Yeah. It could have.
Um, I mean, he had a great voice. I don't know if he could sing, but geez, I would give him a try. But and the smoke coming up and the fight with Jeff Clark, and I just thought that was magnificent. And how he says, every wedding needs a witness. You'll be the witness. Some line like that. I really like that, the end of that. Towards the What's going on? Hello.
Yeah. Sorry, my daughter came in the room. Sorry.
Oh,
Sorry.
okay.
Sorry.
Sorry. My kids are always running around.
Okay.
But yeah, some of my favorite scenes are the funeral scene of Carolyn, the rain.
Really? You like the
Yeah,
funeral scene? Oh.
Jerry Lacey really nails that home too. I always, because again, I don't love the film's hero myself here, because
Uh-huh.
I don't feel they built up a good protagonist in this movie.
That's
But
true.
it's, I always felt that when John Carlin's character was telling people about Barnabas's secret in this movie, when
Hmm.
he tells Kathleen Scott's character Maggie, he tells Professor Stokes.
Hmm.
I think the final person he should have told, unbeknownst to anybody, should have been Jerry Lacey's character. I think
But you only
Reverend
see Jerry. Oh,
I
was he?
think
Go on. I'm sorry.
I think Reverend Trash should have been the hero of this movie.
Was he
Um,
Reverend Trask in that movie or just a priest?
I think
'Cause-
he would. They list him as Trask.
Oh, they did. Okay, I didn't
Yeah,
realize.
in the cast,
Okay.
but again, it's not that same version.
Right. Correct.
So if it's not that same version, if when Willie's telling people, why not confide in the priest? And the priest believes him
Right.
because it's okay. He's even though he's a man of God,
Hmm.
he's aware of the supernatural as well.
Correct.
Um, Great, would have been fun to see. It didn't happen, but another one of my favorite scenes. I've talked about the first person perspective of the attacks. I love how when they're cornering Carolyn, you're getting it from Carolyn's point of view.
Yep. Yep. And
I
they're all
thought,
coming at her. Hmm.
yeah, I, I thought that was so geniusly filmed.
Hmm.
Really, really good. Go ahead. You were going to say some stuff. I'm sorry.
Oh, no! I like listening to what you have to say too. I actually forgot about the part where they stake Carolyn. That was really gruesome, and
Yeah.
like it's like, a dozen men against this one little girl. Not the little girl, but she was a small woman, and I thought, oh my God, that was completely vicious.
Yeah.
Um, I was going to say that Elliot Stokes is the only one who believed Willie, though, about the
Yeah.
situation.
Yeah.
Um, was there? But I don't think that was all I was. I think that's all I was going to say. I think that was it.
Yeah. Elliot believes him. Julia discovers he's a vampire by the mirror test.
Mm-hmm.
Um, doesn't see the reflection, which is
Mm-hmm.
really neat. I mean, she's tired from working. Um, really, really good. And
But in the
then,
series, she did that on purpose. She already
yes,
suspected it was a different
yes,
situation.
yeah, she was in here. She's more of a love-struck doctor, more so than like in the series. There's more of a development with her character than
Yeah,
there is here,
yeah.
which
But
is
she
the
ends up
same.
dead in the
she
movie. Yeah.
she
He
gets
kills her this time.
yeah, she gets bit. Elizabeth has a fainting spell of shock. Right?
Yep.
Like,
Yeah,
there's a lot
yeah.
of this movie is a fun, chaotic film near its climax.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and like you said, the very Phantom of the Opera like ending that you have, the wedding, is I think is Jonathan Frid at his finest in this film.
Oh yeah.
Like it's crazy to say the star of the film steals the movie, but he does in every way.
Well,
Um,
he's he is not an actor you know how you have actors who purposely chew the scenery and who purposely try to hog the spotlight, and there was a few of them on Dark Shadows. I won't mention names. But he didn't have to do that. First of all, he didn't do that. That
right.
wasn't his style, and more importantly, he didn't have to,
No.
because when he walked on the camera, whether it be the film or the series, all eyes go to him, and that's just it.
Yeah. What?
He Go on.
Sorry. Who was your favorite? Who are some of your favorite characters in the film?
In the film, Barnabas.
Yeah.
Carolyn. I like Carolyn very much. I like
Yeah.
Roger. I like Stokes. I like Willie.
Yeah.
Let's see who else was in there. Um, the guy I always forget the guy's name, but the guy who played Jason McGuire, he played the sheriff.
Dennis
Yeah,
Patrick. Yeah.
thank you. I always forget the man's name. I don't know. He is an excellent actor. I remember him actually from being on Dallas, because he was J.R. Ewing's Patsy.
Yeah.
And but he's an excellent actor. I liked him in the movie. I thought Don Briscoe was very good. Don Briscoe has had a beautiful voice. He had a very unusual. I liked his voice very much. Um, of course, I like Humbert, but he wasn't on but for a minute as a physician. But I do like him very, very much.
Yeah.
Those are my favorites. The kid, I want to smack the kid, but you got it. I mean, kid, yeah, you little brat. But he's such a good actor. He was such a good actor.
David Hennessy always finds that right range of emotion
Mm-hmm.
between being like an antagonizing little cousin to
Yeah,
Carolyn, and then to whoever's like watching him, whether it was Maggie or whether it was Victoria.
right.
But in the movie, it's just Maggie, and he gives her a hell of a time. He locks her in a room in the old house, and
Yep, yep.
And
Oh, that's the other one. Do you
yeah,
remember in the beginning of the movie where Maggie goes to the old house because David
yep,
goes there to play
yep,
and he's hiding and she's about to open the door, but Barnabas is on the other side and you don't see Barnabas. You just see this large hand. So I'm assuming it's Jonathan Prid with like the ruffled shirt cuff because he's in
yeah.
period clothing. And then just at the last minute, I think, is it Willie that comes and gets her? Is it Willie
It's
or
it's
Roger?
it's Jeff Clark who,
Jeff Clark, him.
yeah,
Roger. No, Jeff Clark. That's who I meant. I'm thinking Roger Davis. Yeah.
yeah,
And I thought that was really good too. I like,
yeah,
oh, and I just thought of this. I liked after Carolyn is a vampire and they're in I'm assuming it's the basement of the old house and
yeah,
they have his and her coffins,
yeah.
and he he grabs her and he tells her, now you don't go anywhere, you know, and then he leaves Willie in charge. And I'm thinking, are you crazy? This woman's a vampire. And he comes back and there's Willie in the coffin bit.
But Willie Loomis is like the pincushion for everybody, for like the vampires in this
That's
movie.
so true. The poor
It,
guy.
but I love what they do at the end for him though. They really like near the end of this movie, they're doing everything to redeem Willie in the right way.
Hmm.
Uh, him telling Stokes and everybody, Maggie, and that. And at the end of this movie, he gives an assist to the death of Barnabas in a big way.
Yep, yep, yep. And I like at the end. And you know what? I think the first time I saw the movie, I missed it, but you
Yeah,
see the bat flying away,
yeah,
which means that there's going to be another film. Well,
yeah.
they thought there was going to be another film with Barnabas. And
Well, there
that,
is another film,
well, not with Barnabas.
not with
That's
Barnabas, sorry.
unless you count that third movie. And again, that's not Barnabas. But
Yeah.
anyway,
Uh, I've talked all three films. I have no problem talking all three of them again. So, there. See how here's the thing. Night is my favorite. So
Night of Dark Shadows?
yeah, I enjoyed it.
Really?
Yep. Because I love what they do here from what they do with a cinematography standpoint. They actually give you more of the grounds even in that movie. And
Of the Lyndhurst mansion. They show you.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
It's a
and
beautiful mansion. It
and the
is.
fact that they tell a ghost story in it too
Yeah.
is really cool to me.
Yeah.
With this is a pure vampire story in every way.
Yeah.
And it's
Mhm.
really good. It's well shot. You know, what I'm trying to think of something I was going to ask you. Don't want to forget it. Oh, yeah. We touched upon Dennis Patrick a bit. I really loved his George Patterson. I'm with you here.
Yep.
That
Yep. Mm-hmm. It was
he
good.
was really, because the only time he really got to play anything close to sort of a protagonist in the series was when they brought him back as Paul Stoddard a bit.
Yes.
And he wasn't long for that role either.
No, he wasn't. No.
But it was nice to see him here as something other than just a villain.
Uh-huh.
You know?
Yeah. And he had like his other characters like Jason McGuire and even Paul Stoddard, they were like spineless, mealy-mouthed. Yeah. But in the movie,
Yeah.
this guy had some chutzpah about him. He had some, guts, and I enjoyed that. I thought he was very good. I like him. He also was an excellent character actor.
Yeah. Really, really talented guy.
Hmm.
Dennis Patrick, the late Dennis Patrick. Um, if you could have, let me see, if you could have given Alan or Humphrey Allen Alfredo a bigger role in this, what would it have been?
What would it have been? Well, obviously he couldn't be Nicholas Blair
No.
because then he would be competing with Barnabas too much.
Yeah.
I don't know. What could I don't. That's a good question. I don't know. Maybe he could have been, well, he was playing a physician. So maybe he could have been a colleague of Julia's, you
Yeah.
know, in trying to find out what this blood thing was, and maybe the blood type, and maybe he could have helped Elliot Stokes, um,
Oh,
realize that, okay, Julia's gone bonkers for the vampire. We've got to do something. But I think Humbert, um, he was my second favorite male character on the show, and very handsome, very elegant. But he was such a good actor, and he's another one. When he
yeah.
walked on the screen, all eyes go to him. And even when him and Jonathan had scenes together on the show, it was like a tennis match. You couldn't keep your eye. You want both of them. Just
Yeah.
brilliant. Loved him. And I was sorry to see he did not do more television or film work. He too was a stage person, and he was also a drama coach, I believe I read.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He,
In fact, he toured with Elizabeth Taylor in England, doing The Little Foxes.
cool.
Hmm.
Cool.
Hmm.
A really talented actor. I would have.
Extremely.
I think it would have been interesting if Stokes would have said, "Listen, there's somebody I know I can consult who's a little more of an expert than me, and maybe he could have been more of the Van Helsing role." You
Yes,
know,
yes. Well, that's
um,
good. Yes.
you know, I mean,
Mhm.
it's crazy to like go back and watch this movie and think, "Oh, what if they did this?"
Yeah, yeah,
um,
for sure.
scale of 1 to 10, what do you give this movie?
I'm sorry, say it again.
Scale of 1 to 10, what do you give this movie?
Oh God, let's see. Uh, I'd have to say probably. Oh geez. Well, if I'm just basing it purely on Jonathan, I'm thinking 7. But
Yeah,
overall, with everything, um, probably 6.5.
there you
The
go.
setting was gorgeous. The interiors, the costumes. Um, the only thing I didn't like, it was a different type of a Barnabas, but it was very good still, because he's a consummate actor, and he always delivers. But I do prefer the show to the movie.
Yeah. I've always given this a 7, and I always will.
Okay.
You know what I mean. It's a good movie throughout. I do. If I had one the biggest nitpick, they don't do much for the protagonist. Um, for Roger Davis's character.
Well,
Um,
that's okay.
you know what I mean? Like, but
That's all right.
some here's the I when I first watched this movie, at first, because some movies do have ambiguous endings.
Yeah.
One of my favorite westerns does, The Great Silence. It has an ambiguous ending.
Hmm.
But if you have the 2K Blu-ray version, you can add on the good ending.
Mm.
Uh, but so like when I first watched the movie, I thought, man, is this movie going to have an ambiguous ending? Because it looked like it was going that direction.
Hmm. Yep.
No, Willie assist and Roger Davis's character bats on, but then they
Right.
have like you said, they have the bat fly away.
Right.
Um, what's your what's one of your what's your favorite Dan Curtis movie? You have a favorite?
My favorite Dan Curtis movie.
Yeah,
Um. Well, I would probably say The House of because Jonathan,
yeah,
just because of Jonathan.
yeah.
But I'm so prejudiced. I'm so sorry.
Oh,
And The Night of Dark Shadows. The only reason I like that because Laura's in it.
yeah,
I'm sorry.
that's
Um,
okay.
yeah. But I did see. Um, I saw his Jack Palance Dracula.
Yeah,
I didn't really care for that. But I did like Jack Palance as Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. I
yeah,
thought that was very good. I also saw the Trilogy of Terror.
yeah,
That's pretty spooky. Um,
yes.
but I would probably say Oh, well, if you're talking about movies, you're not talking about the miniseries. Because I'm
Right.
telling you, War and Remembrance and The
Yeah.
Winds of War. Oh my God, I didn't know the guy had that in him. I mean,
Yeah.
he mostly was doing horror or, supernatural stuff, and it was good. But those two miniseries, Lord, they were magnificent.
Probably from a cinematography expert and director expert, it's probably his best work. I mean,
Yeah. And he had good actors, Robert Mitchum, and it made me mad. Why wouldn't he have asked Jonathan? Well, I don't think they ended on good terms. That's probably not why. But I wish he had, because I love Jonathan. But
yeah,
those two miniseries, they were very good, and he had good actors in there too. John Carlin was in one of them.
yeah,
But as
yeah.
far as his movies in the horror realm, I do like the Jack Palance, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. I thought
Yeah.
that was very, very good.
I'm gonna go Burn Offerings. Burn Offerings is a really good movie.
Is that the
Um,
one with Betty Davis?
yeah, yeah,
Oh, yeah, that's good too.
yeah,
But I love Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. I like that story. I like the movie with Spencer Tracy.
yeah,
I just love Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. And when they did it on Dark Shadows with
yeah,
Christopher Pennock, he did it very well as well.
yeah.
I love Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. It's so good.
For when can you come back next time? Because I know Christmas is coming up. I know.
Well, I don't care. When do you want me back?
Whenever you'd like to come back, I'll tell you what. Let me see. When's the day off for you? We'll pick a day off.
um, well, I am actually going to be on vacation starting Christmas Eve, going till that following Sunday. So I'm off that
Mhm.
Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Okay, so how about let's see. How about the 27th? We'll do the 27th, and you can pick a Dark Shadows episode. We'll review. Me
A
and you.
Dark Shadows episode?
Yes, you
Okay.
pick it.
Okay.
You
Do I,
pick the episode. Let me know
do I
what it
need to
is.
tell you now, or do I just let you know?
You can tell me now or let me know.
Okay, I'm thinking we should talk about the 1840 storyline.
Oh, nice, nice.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's what we're going to talk about.
The
18.
entire arc or an episode from that.
I would say we can cover the arc, superficially,
Yeah.
but I want to really talk about the relationship between Barnabas and Angelique, and how
Uh,
many people have said that, oh, that's silly that all of a sudden he loves her. No, no, no. I have a whole dissertation to tell you about.
okay, so we'll do 1840,
Yeah,
Angelique and Barnabas.
yeah. Well, the storyline too.
The
Um,
storyline, yeah.
yeah, yeah, because that has a lot to do with it.
Okay. Yep. All right. We'll cover that
Okay. And then
Friday.
sometime we got to do the third movie too, because that'll be fun.
I'll tell you this that and I've mentioned this. I meant because I did. I'm trying to think the last time I did it. That Johnny Depp's Barnabas. There's a lot of differences between him and Fred's, obviously.
Oh, oh my God.
And when you think about it, his Barnabas is honest to a fault in every way.
Depp's Barnabas.
Yes,
Depp's Barnabas reminds me of Edward Scissorhands.
a bit. Yes,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
a bit. If you Chloe Thomas is on Facebook, go hit her up. She's a very, very nice lady. First of all, thank you so much for giving me your time and reviewing
Oh,
this.
I love this. This is so much fun.
It is. These are all fun. So yeah, 27th we'll be back. We'll discuss 1840 and you have a good night, Chloe. Take care. Have a Merry Christmas.
You too. Thank you.
Bye bye.